Hey everybody, welcome to OtherRealm Studio. We are back with another art stream featuring the Magnolia Phone children's book in progress now, funding on Kickstarter to support the print run of the book. Um, so, I would appreciate it if y'all would go take a look at the campaign, hit the remind me button, hit the shares, get some eyes on it, even if you can't support it directly. I'm having a lot of difficulty reaching people, to be honest with y'all. So, um, we will see if we can pull off a miracle in the final 11 days. Actually, it's a bit less than 11 days. It ends uh, fairly early in the morning on July 7th. I'm going to pop that link in the comments. There you go. And I would greatly appreciate it, once again, if you'd go take a look. So this is the true story, or many true stories, of the fawn rescued, rehabilitated, and released by Connie Hall at Magnolia Fawn Rescue. Hang on. Let me fix this. I think I've got a bit too wide of a brush for this, so let's go back a bit. So I want to tell y'all something about Magnolia Fawn Rescue. My sister, Connie Hall, started rescuing deer with her daughter for a 4-H project, or at the same time that her daughter was in 4-H. And um, she continued even after her daughter graduated, uh, because for one, she just loves the deer. They're so beautiful and personable, and it's truly fascinating. And they're also very, very delicate, and it takes a certain kind of person to be able to raise a deer so that it will live and thrive. And Connie has always been very good with babies, and it turns out that she is also very good with baby deer. So she is truly exceptional at caring for the deer and for treating them for injuries and illnesses. And also, since they are so delicate, um, she just has a knack for making them live. So Connie is honestly gifted at this in a way that, honestly, only being only being called to this by God is going to be the explanation for it. Um, there are a lot of really good rehabbers, but in my honest opinion, and probably biased because she is my sister after all, um, I think that Connie's the best there is at what she does. And so I wanted to, it's kind of sad to have a gift that nobody knows about. So, what I wanted to do was document this somehow. And, obviously, the first thing that comes to mind is like a documentary, something that somebody can watch uh, and learn about the deer and see them in action and everything. Although Connie does take a lot of videos of the rescued fawn, of people uh, bringing them up, and when she's gone to retrieve them, and also some of the therapy that she does for them. She does physical therapy on the deer as well, a lot of times. And, you know, obviously, the thing to do would be to film a documentary. Well, that's not in my skill set. I'm sorry, I can't learn any more skill sets right now. I'm swamped. It would be nice, but I can't really do it. I'm I'm not really able to do a lot, of walking around and stuff at the moment. And I don't have the equipment. And there's a lot of reasons why I know it would be better to do a documentary or a TV series, featuring Connie. That would be awesome. I think that would be really a fantastic way to get to know Magnolia Fawn and everything that Connie and the volunteers do. And, it would be very educational and everything. But that's just not my skill set. So, what I can do, as it turns out, is I can illustrate children's books. And I'm a writer and an artist, and I have successfully self-published um, my superhero novel. Um, After my publisher went out of business, I got everything set up and was able to self-publish an illustrated edition of my novel. And I have also successfully published 2 issues of my comic series in print. And so, and I've also done several, I've illustrated several children's books for a client, so I kind of feel like I'm getting the hang of it a bit. So I thought I should be able to write and illustrate a children's book that really does justice to the work that Connie has put in to Magnolia Fawn. And I have to say, as far as my part, I am doing very well. This is some of my best work. And I know I'm getting a little bit obsessive and zooming in on things that maybe are going to be too detailed to even show up in the print. But that's okay. It's going to be fine. My main issue with zooming in too far and including more detail than anyone's ever going to actually see is that it takes a long time. But for this project, I'm actually doing pretty well on time, and I have y'all to thank for that, because working on the art stream and being consistent with it every night so every night at 8 p.m. my time has it's really helped me knock out the work faster than I would have if I didn't have the possibility that somebody was going to be coming and keeping me company while I work. So, and even if there's nobody in the chat like right now, There might be later. There might be somebody who watches this video later if they want to learn how to draw deer, for example. Or they might come across the book at a later time and would like to see how it was made. I mean, as you can see, I am actually painting it bit by bit. The paint may be virtual, but the process is real. And you know, every stroke of brush here has purpose and meaning. Um, I'm not adding polish without the basic underlying structure first. And that's what I feel like AI projects do. There's so much polish and stuff that you really save for last on an AI generated project, and you can just tell. It's kind of like your first year art student who they really want to produce finished work, but they don't have a good grounding in anatomy yet. So instead, they've gotten really good at finishing touches, adding highlights, polishing. And so that's what I think that AI generated art is like. It's all the polish and none of the thought. Like, honestly, it's a complete misnomer to call it artificial intelligence. It's ones and zeros. It's still ones and zeros. Intelligence is and always will be um, an analog domain. Okay, let's neaten up that little hawk. And yeah, let's paint some spots. Oh goodness, there's always so many spots. Okay, so this one starts off as a bit of a stripe. And then curves up here. And follows alongside the spine. I'm not going to do every spot exactly where it is. I'm sorry, I would like to maintain my sanity for the rest of the stream. But I'm going to do my best to get the feeling of it in there, even if I do lose count several times during the process. So, usually the spots are temporary, but sometimes the deer with the piebald gene have some of their spots. They have extra spots and splashes, and those will just stay. So let's see. I think it's that the piebald gene is recessive, and each parent needs a copy of it in order to pass on the piebald coloring to their offspring. I think that's how that works, if I'm remembering that correctly. It's something like that. Let's see if I can uh, brush it into the texture of the hair a bit more. take a look at this little deer in the middle. Okay, let's paint in her spots. And I also need to come back in here and finish up her eyes. Now let's see about the eyes first. Yeah, they're just babies. They don't know any better. They don't know that deer are not meant to be in a playpen in somebody's kitchen. They just have no idea. And when they grow up, they are going to forget all about this. Because Connie's always very careful to do everything by the books and make sure that she doesn't imprint on them unless, there's 100% chance that they're going to be deer for the sanctuary and non-releasable. So these deer are going to grow up and forget all about their time at Magnolia Farm and be able to live as wild deer ought to live. In the wild, roaming around as they should, and raising their own babies. Okay, let's take a look at what kind of spots we have here. So, right alongside the head, there's 3 roundish ones. One beside this one that's an irregular shape. And another little cluster of 3. Now this one has a lot of white that, you know, comes up and makes a little bit of a pink muzzle on the underside here, and a little bit of white that comes down around the nose. And I'm wondering if this one is one of the ones with the piebald gene. It's not terribly small, at least. So I think that it will be one that could be released. So I saw another video that Connie had posted with another fawn, and this one was very small. This is Tinkerbell, and I'm wondering if this one right here that I'm working on is Tinkerbell or if this one's from another year. Um, they kind of run together after a while. Um, but she got this one, and evidently it was a triplet. And so uh, I think, like goats, deer will have like a first single fawn, and then in the years after that, they will typically have twins. Not sure. Maybe it's not typically, but it's more common for them to have twins. And then if they have triplets, uh, the mama deer will keep whichever ones can keep up. And so it's kind of rare for uh, at least one of the triplets to not be affected by the limited space and competing against the other two. So yeah, she took in one that the mother deer had safely given birth, which was good, and had uh, taken two of the deer, of the fawn, with her. But the last one, the little third one, was smaller and weaker than the others. And couldn't follow the mother doe very soon. And so it was left behind. You know, some does are excellent mothers. So a while back, Connie had a deer uh, named Christine come in, and Christine was completely blind and literally did not have eyes. But Christine was also pretty old for a fawn that would come into the rescue. So evidently, oh, and was also very wild. So an older wild fawn that had a uh, congenital uh, defect of blindness that literally had no eyes. So, well, we call her Christine. That's what we call her before you can say anything. Um, and so Connie said that Christine's mother must have been a really good mama, like an exceptionally good mama, because normally a blind fawn would be lost and left behind. And Christine was able to keep up with her mother for a really long time, long enough for her to get good and wild. Um, not like one of these poor clueless little babies. But Christine had a home in the sanctuary as well. And I remember um, a few bucks, a few older bucks, some yearlings that I remember one in particular had a head trauma, and he was loopy. He was just so out of it, and Connie was able to bring him home and treat him for his injuries, and he just didn't know what was going on. He just lay outside and was out of it for days. But eventually, the head trauma healed, and he went right back to being a wild deer. But yeah, for a while there, the only reason he seemed tame was because he didn't know what was going on. Okay, we've spotted two fall. One more left to go. Let me just um, touch up the inside of this one's ears a bit. Maybe that was a bit too much gray. Let's see, right here. A little bit here. We'll just fix this little spot on the muzzle here. That's about right. Alright, we got this one down here. Hold on a second while I wring out my wrist. Now I'm kind of thinking that this one might have had a little bit of a head injury because it seems like a bald spot behind the ear and some somewhat suspicious looking speckles over here on the muzzle. So here in South Carolina, we're dealing with some deforestation from, housing projects and construction and things going on. Uh, there's there's a park that I really liked that was demolished a few years ago, and I still have not forgiven the city planners for that. Um, I mean, there's plenty of places that uh, could have been developed that were not that spot, and I don't see why they didn't go take their project somewhere else instead of, destroying a beautiful park with um, gorgeous, fully mature trees that had been there for, they look like 100-year-old trees. Um, and I don't even know what's going up there. It's not trees. And it was a really nice shaded playground too. In the South, you gotta have some shade. So yeah, there's there's gonna I'm gonna have to pick out some things that I'm gonna be mad about forever, and as I get older, and that park's one of them. It's like at the top of the list. And there's a lot of other places. You know, it's a good thing there's GPS because the landmarks are gone. Places that used to be wooded, um, places that used to have creeks, and out here in the South, if there's anywhere, if there's like, you know, two trees and a shrub, there's going to be like 6 deer in it, or that's how it used to be. And you always have to watch carefully when you're driving through the country. Um, through the fields or alongside the farms, you know, especially early in the morning or in the evening at dusk. And you just need to be careful because there could be deer anywhere, and you're not going to see them until they come bounding out in the road in front of your car because something or other spooked the lead one and they all took off. And it's never just the one deer, they travel in herds. So if you see one deer rushing through the road, just stop and wait for the rest of them to cross. But yeah, with the deforestation from the construction projects and stuff going on, um, it's not that the deer have gotten too close to people, it's that people are too close to the deer and they are inadvertently flushing them out of hiding and into the road frequently. So, we get a lot of deer from construction sites, uh, fawn that have been orphaned because you can see the mothers dead on the side of the road. Um, just just a lot of consequences of unfortunate encounters, and new housing developments, and people move out here to the country and they think, oh well, finally I can let my dog out to roam, and the dog comes back and he's committed a fawn napping, and those are very difficult to reunite with the mothers. I mean, that would have been the ideal case, but usually when a dog picks up a fawn, uh, it'll puncture the lungs, and then the fawn will need medical treatment, antibiotics. And also, there's no telling how far the dog carried it, so there's no telling where the fawn came from. So, those are rough cases. Those usually can't be reunited. Um, but fortunately, Connie knows what to do. She knows the right medications to try, and frequently she can persuade them to live. And so, even though reuniting is a good goal to have, if it can't happen, at least Connie knows how to raise them right so that they can be released in the wild once they're better. And that's what's up with the playpen. So I don't know if you visited this stream before, but in case you haven't, I'll say it again. Um, One of the most important things is to make sure that the foam imprint on other deer instead of on their human caretakers. And so they get bed buddies and they'll live in a playpen together or in a carrier, depending on what Connie has at hand. I don't think I've seen her use a carrier very recently, but she has before. And so they all live together in close proximity and they start forming the beginnings of a herd and they start socializing with each other. And so that's extremely important for their development. So that when they go later in life to um, um, behave like deer and grow into more deer behaviors, those include things like rearing up and uh, challenging each other for dominance. And there's a pecking order in the herd that that they establish, and every now and then they sort out the status quo just to make sure it's updated. And that involves rearing up and kicking, and if it's a buck, uh, headbutting with their new little spikes. And it's all terribly cute, unless it's a person that they think is in their herd. And uh, people can get hurt that way. So you just can't socialize a deer to be a pet among people because it's going to grow up and grow into behaviors that are not compatible with being a pet. And so that's one of the main reasons, I guess, that it's illegal to keep white-tailed deer as pets in South Carolina. And so Connie does have her sanctuary for deer that cannot be released into the wild, but she does everything by the books and gets a permit for each one, and she neuters them and makes sure that they don't accidentally breed in captivity as well, because that is also illegal in South Carolina. And so every state is going to have different rules regarding um, the treatment of uh, the white-tailed deer population. Um, there, I mean, I guess there are some places in which DNR will uh, find it necessary to put down a phone, but I think most of them make an effort to send them to a rehabber like Connie. So it's always worth it to call. And also, you really cannot just raise a phone by itself because it's going to find something to identify as a member of its herd. That, if you can actually get it to live. So it's going to want to form a herd. And whatever it grows up closest to, it's going to imprint on that. Right? So there have been deer that have been confiscated by DNR and taken to Connie's sanctuary. Um, there have been some that really love children, that like to hang around where children are. They're attracted to their voices. And there was one even earlier this year that hopped into the fence at an elementary school, and they got it out of the fence, and then it hopped back in. It wanted to join the children. It wanted to go to kindergarten or something. It figured it had been raised by people and figured that children were its herd. And there have been other ones that think they're dogs. They're just convinced that they must be a dog because they were raised with a dog. And I mean, I guess we can all figure out why that's a terrible idea. Because not all dogs are going to be uh, friendly and not hurt the deer as it grows up. And, like these little babies, they don't know any better. Everything that happens to a baby is perfectly normal to that baby because they don't have the life experience to know any different. And so there can be some extremely weird situations that uh, they accept as completely normal when they're this age. But, a little older and uh, they would be a lot of trouble to have to rehabilitate, um, and would probably need a lot more sedatives and stuff because of the danger of capture myopathy. Um, because once they do get old enough to know better, it's very stressful being uh, taken in and having medical treatment and stuff. And so sometimes they'll just die of stress. And it is kind of merciful in a way, but also really frustrating if you aren't actually trying to uh, hunt the deer, but rather to save it, and it dies after you've already medicated it and done everything that you can to set it on the path to healing. And if it's too stressed, it's already given up. It's going to save its energy. Okay. There's a little group of spots up here that I did not get to yet. And then I think this one will be done. Let me just blend a little bit of this fuzz here. It's standing out a bit more than I intended. Alright, fit the screen. Let's hide the reference. There we have it. 3 little deer starting their own little herd together, getting ready for life in the wild, because they will remember none of this. Thank goodness. Alright, so to finish up this piece, I want to tidy up the edges of the playpen, and then come back with the multiply layer for shadows and the overlay layer for light. Take that down a bit further. So you might notice that even though this is an illustration project for a children's book and is not an animation, I do have an animation timeline at the bottom of this, and that's because I have been working on learning how to animate in Clip Studio Paint. And if y'all want to stick around after this month, I'm gonna see what I can get done on a oh goodness, can't I scroll up with this thing? Alright, hold on. It's easier to do with the mouse. For some reason the pen, it does not grab the sidebar here. Alright, So I'm thinking that my next project that I stream is going to be animating uh, a trailer or a teaser for my comic series Soulbound. Um, and so I storyboarded it out, and uh, I consulted with an animator. Actually, I consulted with a couple of animators about how I would go about getting it done and how much it would cost to outsource it and so forth. And it's prohibitively expensive. And um, I mean, there were things that I could do um, to get further along on the process as an artist myself. Um, so I thought I will take a look at how far I can possibly get with animating the whole thing myself. And if I can't, then I can at least do um, I can do more than a storyboard. I can actually do some direction and let's see, where's multiply? And move over to light grayish and my airbrush. Um, so anyway, there was stuff that I could do to make it less expensive by um, taking over more of the direction of the project. If I could do more detail on exactly what I wanted. And I think partly that would, mostly what that would do is help there not be a lot of revisions. Revisions will eat resources. So I thought I would check out and see how far I can do the whole process, because the more I learn, then um, the more successful I will be. Let me erase this back out a bit. There. the more, so the more I learn about the process of animation, the more successful I will be at being a reasonable client regarding it. I mean, it's held true in every other thing I've tried it on, so why not this as well? Alright, let's do new raster layer. We will change over to pale tone and change it from normal to overlay. Come on, where's overlay? Right there in the middle. And I think a warm yellow. And just keep in mind where the light is coming from. And maybe exaggerate just a little bit to make the colors pop. And come down here with the light blue because, you know, this polyester stuff that playpens have covering them is a little bit shiny like that. There we have it. There's our babies. And it's already 9:15. So let's give that a save. Now, this is not the order that all the pages are going to be in. Let's see. This one up here I need to finish fixing, and the deer in front of the house need touching up. There's a few background colors that I want to do, possibly some gradients. And another scene, I was going to put deer crossing a road, but I'm wondering if I should actually, you know, go out and get a reference picture with the deer crossing sign in the background and everything. And I still need a good picture of a bottle rack. But other than that, we're coming close to done on this project. And I'm thinking that maybe I should, oh yeah, I should come back in here and brush in Hang on, right there. Yeah, so I have a little bit of kind of clip art grass and stuff in here, and I have it in here mostly to be background. So it's slightly a textured background that's showing the size and height of the underbrush that's supposed to be in this bit. So let me go ahead and paint over these a little bit more. So, yep, it's about time for me to sign off for the night. Don't forget to go stop by the Kickstarter. The link is in the comments. Um, give it a share. Tell your friends. Um, pledge if you're able. Your support means a lot to me and to Connie. And, you know, there's really no risk to you. If the project doesn't get funded, then it just doesn't. No money is taken off of your card, so nothing would be charged to you. And that's if the campaign doesn't fund. If we don't get the full amount, Kickstarter is an all or nothing funding model. So the only thing that would happen is that I would send everybody a note that says, well, it didn't fund, and the timetable to have a print version out by Christmas is going to be thrown off. So no print version this year. And nobody's going to lose any money that way. That's the reason why I use Kickstarter for my book campaigns, so that I can see how many books we'll need. Because for a publisher, there's nothing, or well, for a publisher of print books, there's not really much worse than not having a good estimate on how many books that you need. So you either print too few and then you've got back orders, or you print too many and then you have to put them somewhere and get around to selling them somehow, some when. And so, um, that's the reason why I'll do a Kickstarter, and it's like a pre-order, but not exactly, because it only goes into production if the entire thing is funded. Okay, so you can see here, these are all the pages that I've gotten done so far. I have sketches for potential pages that may or may not come to pass. Uh, some of these were just practice, and some of them, actually made it into finished drawings already. But yeah, I will be rearranging all these pages and uh, putting words to the story. And you'll get to learn all about Magnolia Fallen Rescue and also about Jessie's story. And this is, you know, I asked Connie, she verified this. This is how big Jessie was when he was born. I don't have a banana for scale, but Connie is holding him in this picture. And so we'll have his story in here. Um, we'll have Connie. We'll have the piebalds. We'll show how deer that have been injured are brought in and fixed up and treated and given therapy so that when they grow up, they can have a healthy, normal life out in the wild as they ought to be. So, yeah, check out the link in the comments or go to Kickstarter.com and search up Magnolia Fallen Rescue or Magnolia Fallen Children's Book, or you can go visit Magnolia Fallen Rescue at Magnolia Fallen Rescue on Instagram, on TikTok, also on Facebook, and you'll know it's the right one. The logo looks very similar to the cover of the book here. Uh, this is a more realistically painted version of the same image with the fawn and the magnolia blossom. So, thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see y'all later. Good night.